So I was running in the 2016 Boston Marathon, and I was running along, and I was hurting pretty badly at that point. I'd had an injury, and I was jogging really, and a man and woman came, and it was Bob and Val had come. I didn't know it at the time, and run past me and said, "Are you Adrianne?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "It's nice to meet you." And he said, "I'm Bob and I'm Val." And I knew immediately that they were Irish. I recognized that accent, that lovely accent. And he said, "If you finish this race, we would love to have you in Ireland. I run the Clonakilty Waterfront Marathon. Take a picture of my bib." And I took a picture of the bib, and he said, "Oh, all right, we'll be in touch." And he was on his way. And about a week and a half to 2 weeks later, I had an email in my inbox. They found my website, and a week after that, we were on Skype. I met their dog and and met Ia, and the rest is history. I had a ticket to Ireland, so it was an incredible meeting, and here I am. It was an incredible route. The race itself was amazing. I mean, Bob and Ia go way out of their way to make sure that every single runner feels warm and welcomed and ready for the race. And you could feel it in every runner that was there. And they were there from all over the world. And it was a wonderful route. It was gorgeous, going through the countryside, going through the neighborhoods, going along the waterfront. We saw wild swans. And it was an incredible 10K. You know, what I found most special and most memorable about the Clonakilty event is that, you know, this marathon, this 10K, this half marathon really had the message of peace, and that was global. You know, there were people there from all over the world, and it really resonated with me, especially after everything I've been through. I don't think we've needed that message more than we do now, and you could feel it in everything. And I usually hesitate at marathon routes and spectating, and I didn't feel that this time. I felt love, I felt warmth. Everyone was cheering each other on the course, and it was just an incredible experience. You know, I never was a runner before 2013, and I never thought that I would want to go run. But running has brought so much more to my life. I enjoy the solidarity of it. I enjoy the community of it. I enjoy blasting my headphones and just going for it after a hard day or at the beginning of a day to get the day started right. I think it's brought a lot of peace and energy to my life at the same time. I think my favorite place to run would be along the Charles River in Boston. There's nothing quite like it, and to think of all the runners and all the sneakers and prosthetic legs and feet that have run along the Charles over the past, years and years and years, hundreds of years really, to practice for the marathon is very unique to Boston. So I think that the Charles River is definitely my favorite place to run. I don't think that I would have discovered running in quite the same way if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through in 2013. I think that it's a very unique decision that I came to become a runner. And then once I discovered that I loved the sport, then that was great. Maybe I would have discovered it, but it would have been a more difficult start, for sure. Less motivated, maybe. You know, I prepared for Boston first of all, learning how to run in a blade is very difficult. And I was getting faster and faster in my training for Boston, and learning how to run in a blade is very difficult. So getting points and tips and tricks from my prosthetist, and as well as, other runners and other amputee runners, just really looking for coaches and making sure that I'm getting the best nutrition, the best sleep, the best exercise that I can. I cross-trained in boxing and ab exercises, obviously, for core. There's a lot that goes into it. It was surprising to me how much goes into prepping for a marathon. It's a lot of work. I remember thinking, it's a lot of work to go into a marathon, and I remember thinking that, what am I going to do when this marathon's over? And I was like, well, obviously I'll just keep running. That doesn't need to change. Running the Boston Marathon was probably one of the best days of my life. It was undoubtedly one of the most difficult as well, but it was the best day of my life. I had a team that ran with me, and one of my teammates said to me before we left the house, we had this calm moment before walking over to the buses, and we were gathering together and pinning on our bibs and talking to each other and coming up with a game plan. And he said to me, what will get you to the finish line is nothing compared to what got you to the start line. And I started to tear up, as I always do when I think about that. And I said, that's right. Like, it's taken me so long. If you think of this, it'd been 3 years, and it'd taken me so long to get to that point of being able to even wear a leg or get over, so many things, and mental, physical challenges to get me to that start line. So the second I crossed the start, I thought, that's it. Like, this is the marathon. This is it. And then everything else was just icing on the cake. And even when I was in the most excruciating pain, I was getting hugs and love from the crowd, as everyone does in Boston, and that got me through. And I've had so many people say that once you hit that wall, the crowd will get you through. And I hit my wall hard early on due to injury, and the crowd got me through it. And that's what Boston does. They get you through it. I think that Boston and the Clonakilty marathons are similar in the sense that the crowd is fantastic, and the runners are global and come from all over because of the scenery, because it is such a large marathon in the sense that it means so much to so many people. There were people there that were running their 100th marathon or 250th marathon or 75th marathon. I can't even imagine. And that happens, in Boston as well. And there are so many similarities in the sense that the crowd is there, and the people are cheering you on. My parents were there, people cheering you on, and people really getting you through it. And that's what marathons are about. It's about people cheering you on and helping you through when you need it. I think the hardest thing I've had to face on my road to recovery is the fact that there is no word recovered. It's more of a new normal. And I think once you realize that, you don't look for a finish line. You don't look for a stamp or a check mark on a piece of paper in your recovery or your doctor's notes that says, check mark, you're done. You have many check marks and celebrations and major check marks and major celebrations along the way. But, I think realizing that you're never fully recovered, and the end is just a font at the end of a Disney movie. It's not a recovered. This is the new normal for me, and accepting that has been the most difficult. But it's also been the most rewarding, because once you accept it, you just accept your new normal and you live your life the best way you can. Getting back on the dance floor was one of the hardest things, probably harder than anything else I've ever had to do, because of the mental challenge. It took me a really long time to just even do a single step, even in my apartment or anything. I was walking far before I was doing any types of dancing or anything. And the main reason for that was by choice. It was sheer being completely terrified that what I would expect to feel dancing would not be what I would feel. And I knew that. But I didn't want to feel what that felt like yet. I wasn't ready. And so I kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally one day I just decided to, take a few dance steps, and I did it, and I hated the way it felt. And I did it again, and I hated it, and I did it again. And that mental anguish that comes with that is very, very difficult. So I just kept doing it over and over, and by then I was dancing. And I didn't like it at first, but I knew that eventually if I could walk and forget that I was wearing a prosthetic, I knew that I could dance and forget that I was wearing a prosthetic. It would just take time. So I just wanted to get through those days of having it be pretty much impossible and get to the other side. Gosh, to say that there was huge anger and emotions is an understatement after everything that had happened. I still have a lot of anger, and I still have obviously a ton of emotions that come with that. Part of those emotions are taken out on the pavement while I'm kicking asphalt while running, and that needs to happen. I cross-trained boxing. I realized that that's a great way to get out anger. And I have therapy as well that I go to every single week, or Skype if I'm out of town. And I think that all of those are important. You know, you have to be able to feel those. And I'm a big proponent of being able to dig through the deep stuff and not bury it. And I know people, and I've met people in my life that bury that, and they're not happy people. And I think that when you don't find an outlet or a treatment for that, then it can be really unhealthy. So for me, my outlets are dancing, running, my therapy, boxing. You just find those physical things, and obviously physical, endurance and physical strength give you the courage and the commitment and the discipline to be able to get through the hard days. But I still have a lot of anger, and I will for a long time. I mean, I'm not happy about it. There are amputees that say, "Oh gosh, this changed my life. I'm actually, so thankful for everything I have now." And I am thankful for everything I have now, but I'll never be thankful that my leg was blown off by a terrorist. I've learned so much since April 15th, 2013 that, my mission now is not far from what my mission was before. In teaching dance, I was helping people hopefully become more confident and improve their relationships, improve their, dancing skills. And now my mission and what I'm doing is to help amputees become more mobile and more confident and improve their relationships and improve their overall health and well-being. So it's on a larger scale now. I've learned a lot, as I said, and my mission now is really just about making sure that I'm helping amputees, and that helps with limbsforlife.org, which is the nonprofit that I am on the board of directors for and have volunteered for years. And that helps amputees get a limb for life who are in most dire need of it. And that helps with Congress, fighting Congress for bills to pass that need to be passed to help amputee rights and Medicare. And so I think that, my mission has changed. My life has certainly changed. I've changed, but it's very similar to what I did before in a lot of ways as well. Yeah, I think if I were to tell someone who's facing a traumatic challenge that to let themselves have the time and let themselves have the tears and the ugly days and the hard times. Because like I said earlier, when we bury it, it's hard, and we're not doing ourselves or those around us any favors by being emotionally dishonest. So I think being emotionally honest with your friends and family is the best advice I could give. And sometimes that means saying, we've made plans today and I am going to stick to those plans, but I just need you to know today's a hard day for me. So if I seem blue or I seem out of it, it's because of something that I'm dealing with and not because of you. And I think there's something really powerful and really unique about being emotionally honest. And so that would be my best advice that I could give them. Still allow themselves and forgive themselves for their feelings that they have. They've been through something traumatic. They're going to have aftermath of that.
If you can finish this sentence for me, I run because...
I run because I can. It sounds simple, but not everybody can. I I also run because I run for those who cannot run.